Notice this. We all know Oda is telling us how many years till the end of the One Piece remains. And every time that number becomes a lie. But what if the problem is not the timing? What if we are asking the wrong question? Most people think that the end of the One Piece means one simple thing: finding the treasure. But what if the One Piece is not a thing you find, but the moment you enter? Let's think about it. Luffy wants to be free. So the real question is not what the freedom is, but when Luffy is free. And the answer is simple. Luffy is free whenever he does what he wants. Not later, not at the end, but right now. In the moment of acting. Every time Luffy follows his own will, he already has his One Piece. And that's why One Piece feels endless. Because freedom just doesn't exist in a future tense. And now, here is where it gets uncomfortable. But let's take it step by step. Goldie Roger said one strange thing: I will not die. Let's break it down. He didn't say my will live on. He didn't say his will would be inherited. He literally, when he was saying it, he spoke about himself. In Japanese culture, deeply influenced by Buddhism, death is not always the end. It's a transition, a change of form. Roger didn't fear death. He laughed at it. And if you think about it, Luffy doesn't fear it either. What's more, in my opinion, he's curious about it. I know it sounds funny, but that curiosity is important. Because curiosity about death isn't desire to die. It's a sign of complete freedom from the future. Right? If One Piece ends as a story, it doesn't mean end as a state of being. And that's the key. If freedom exists in the moment, then the end of the One Piece can't cancel what did happen before the moment. And that's when the Straw Hats matter. Because when you look closely, they are already living their dreams. Not in the future, but right now. Zoro wants to become the world's strongest swordsman. It does sound like a final point, a victory over someone, something, a duel between him and Mihawk. But Zoro is already doing something really important. Every time he trains, every time he fights someone stronger, every time he survives that something that should have killed him, he becomes the stronger version of himself. And that's the moment, right now. And then what about the duel with Mihawk? That's the point. So towards your point, you got the moments. It's not something that's going to happen right now. Your point usually it's impossible to achieve right now. Zoro shows us something crucial. A moment and a goal are not the opposites. The moment does not invalidate the goal. And reverse. The goal does not invalidate the moment. They coexist. Now let's take a look at Nami. Nami wants to draw a map of the whole world. But a map cannot be drawn from another map. It has to be drawn in the presence. You need to be there at this moment. Every time Nami arrives on the new island, takes out her tools, and draws what she sees, she is already living her dream. She cannot finish the map early, and she also cannot fake it. Her One Piece only exists in the moment. So now let's take a look at Sanji. Sanji wants to find All Blue. But what is All Blue? It's not a location on map. It's where the ingredients mix. It's where cultures meet. So it can be a pan, a bowl, or a plate. Every time Sanji cooks for people from different parts of the world, he recreates All Blue in a miniature. His dream isn't postponed. It's in the moment, it's practiced. Robin wants to know the truth about the Void Century. But knowledge doesn't arrive at once. It's a process. It accumulates. Every ruin she visits, every poneglyph she reads, and every conversation she has is already part of her One Piece. The end is not a discovery. The end is understanding of it. Franky is even simpler. He wants to build a ship that carries the dreams. And he had already done that. Take the Sunny. The Sunny is not waiting to the end of the journey to become what it was meant to be, but it already carries their dreams right now. Now let's take a look at Choppa. What is Choppa dream? Choppa dream. He wants to cure every illness, but no doctor can cure an illness that has yet to come. Choppa dream can only be fulfilled step by step. Every disease he understands, every person he saves, every disease he understands, every person he saves is not a delay. It is the dream happening in the real time. So what does that mean? It means One Piece is not a reward for patience. It's not something you unlock at the end. It's something you enter. But there's one Straw Hat that looks different. Yes, it's Brook. Brook has single point-based dream to reunite with Laboon. And at the first glance, it seems to break the pattern I just shown you. Because Brook's dream is not lived daily. It is waited for. But here's the thing. The Straw Hats are heading to the end of the world anyway. Heading to Red Line, toward the place where the paths converge. Brook doesn't need the separate journey. His point lies on the same trajectory. Yeah, that's how Straw Hats were made. They don't disturb each other's dreams. His One Piece is not cancelled by the road, it is carried by it. And that's the pattern. Different dreams, different shapes, but the same structure. Some dreams are moments, some dreams are points, but none of them exists outside the journey. So, when people ask Oda when One Piece will end, they assume that the end is where the meaning begins. But One Piece has been meaningful all time long. The ending doesn't create freedom, it only reveals what was already there. You might notice I haven't talked about everyone, and that's intentional. Not every dream feels fulfilled while it's happening. Usopp lives inside the fear, and he acts anyway. Jinbe carries a dream that cannot be completed by one person. Their role is different, and that difference matters. So, where does that leave Luffy? If most of the Straw Hats are living their dreams, and if One Piece exists in their moments, in their present moment, then what does the end actually mean? Luffy doesn't talk about the future. He doesn't plan who he will become. He doesn't imagine himself later. He acts. And that's the point. Freedom for Luffy does not exist tomorrow. It exists only now. And that's why Luffy is not scared by death. He's not obsessed with surviving, he's curious. Curious about what's gonna come after he does something. And curiosity after death is not the same thing as wanting to disappear. It's what happens when you are no longer attached to the future version of yourself. Goldie Roger laughed at the end of the world not because it was funny, but because there was nothing left to hold on to. No regrets, no unfinished business, no more what ifs, just presence. And that's why the end of the One Piece cannot invalidate the journey, because the journey was never waiting for the end to become meaningful in the first place. If Luffy reaches the final island, if the treasure is revealed, if the story closes, that doesn't create freedom. It only confirms it. And maybe that's exactly why the One Piece has lasted for so long. Because it doesn't teach you what to want, it teaches you when you are already there. Some dreams are moments, some of them are points, but none of them exists without moving forward. So when the story finally ends, One Piece won't disappear. It will simply stop being told. And what remains is what was already there. The moment you act without needing the future to justify it. Notice this. First principles.